New developments here at 10 in the case of the Tulsa woman who claimed to cure cancer. A federal jury convicted Antonella Carpenter of 29 counts of fraud today. News on 6 reporter Katira Winfrey was in court when the verdict was brought back, and she's at the courthouse again tonight with the story. Katira?
With her trademark pink hair, Antonella Carpenter needed help making it up to the podium after her convictions were handed down. Guilty on 29 counts. She faces 10 or 20 years for each one. For nearly 6 years, investigators say Antonella Carpenter cheated cancer patients out of their money and gave them false hope.
These people should have been seeking treatment that could either extend their lives or save their lives. Instead, she was receiving monies for a procedure that did not work.
In October 2014, she was indicted on 41 charges, including travel fraud, wire fraud, and mail fraud. The federal charges claim the now 71-year-old encouraged patients to travel to Oklahoma for treatment and took money for the cancer removal procedure she claimed was 100% effective. Court documents show Carpenter treated patients at her Owasso and Broken Arrow clinics by injecting them with a mixture of saline solution and ordinary food dye or walnut hull extract. She would then perform laser treatments on the patient.
I wouldn't call it bizarre, I would call it fraud. And I would call the promise that she made to these people who were desperate a crime. And we felt very good when we indicted this case.
The 41 charges were filed after the FDA launched its own investigation. By then, former patients were suing Carpenter. At the end of the nearly month-long trial, the court read the jury's verdicts. Guilty of 29 counts, not guilty on 9, and unable to reach a unanimous verdict on 3.
She did not anticipate she was going to be convicted today, and I think that she seemed to be in shock.
And we did try to speak to Carpenter and her attorneys, but they left the building without comment. And Carpenter is being allowed to stay out of jail on bond until sentencing. Right now, there is no word on when sentencing will happen. Reporting live in Tulsa, Katira Winfrey, News on.
Now you will hear what the mainstream media refuses to publish. The truth. Not a slanted Big Pharma propaganda version that omits the most important factors, like that Dr. Antonella Carpenter had 12 witnesses, 12 of her patients that were cured, that gave testimony, and yet they still consider her treatment a fraud. There are many details of this case, and we'll go over all of them. Thank you for watching Truth Talk News, where truth the mainstream media ignores is the top story. I'm your host, Howard Nima. There is terrible injustice in the case of Dr. Antonella Carpenter, who was wrongly convicted and railroaded by a kangaroo court. And I've followed this case since basically the beginning, when she was raided by the FDA Gestapo with guns blazing and seized all her assets. Meanwhile, she has had many patients that she's treated with her L.E.I.S.H therapy that have been cured, and they're claiming that she's a fraud and has been put through unbelievable persecution by this criminal medical mafia, this combine of the Big Pharma / medical mafia that we're under, the cancer industry in particular. So I have Dr. Antonella Carpenter on Skype here, Dr. Carpenter, and I also have Randy Simmons. We've done many shows together in the past, all of us, and I just can't believe it came to this.
I can't.
I am in such a shock state. I cannot believe that with all we have presented, with all the evidence, flatly contradicting any fraud issue, all of that was ignored, and I've been convicted. I could not believe it when I was standing there in the courtroom and they were listing the different number that they indicated, the charges by number. I don't even know which ones they were. and saying guilty, guilty, guilty. I could not believe what was going on.
It's unbelievable because you had 12 people that testified, 12 patients that testified in your defense that you treated, and
Yeah.
that had no weight in it. You had all of these patients that I'm sorry,
No, a patient that they were doing well.
they were doing well, right? And again, this guy has had it out for you from the very beginning, and now we have
We
this.
found out there's something bigger that's had it out for her from the very beginning. We'll go into that.
Jeremy Bain was the one that was the original investigator that.
The puppet on the string, as we found out.
Really?
Yeah, it was just a front, but behind them there was a lot more. So it was just one of those. But the things that got me is we had a professor, photodynamic therapy expert and cancer research expert for Dartmouth University. We are not talking about a rinky-dinky university in a place of like.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about Dartmouth University, and he confirmed everything I said. Yes, that's a temperature to kill tissue. Yes, the damage is what I said it was. Yes, they are doing research. Yes, it works. Yes, the tissue cannot survive 100% death of the tissue. Nothing. Right. Unbelievable. There was even an FDA laser expert.
Yeah, this is hilarious right here.
Well, if you can call it that.
Okay.
She came in and said, yes, the laser is the wavelength, she says. Yes, it does what it says. Yes, the temperature on target.
Yes, it works, and yet you're guilty.
Guilty. Yes, I'm guilty of fraud, in spite of all of that.
Even though it works.
Yes, it works.
And a Dartmouth professor said it works.
Yeah. Professor. Yeah, he does research. He's again NIH. NIH grants to do research. Yes, he said it works. Absolutely. And it's innovation. Another patient's husband, who is a doctor, said, innovation. I was doing innovation during my surgery. Innovation is always attacked. The husband of another patient, who is a former district attorney in Texas, said that this was outrageous. Okay? This was not really a criminal case. And nothing.
Unbelievable.
It is. I could not believe it when I heard that happening. And that happened last Wednesday. I could not believe it. And I've been a zombie then. And after the jury was excused and the judge said, oh, thank you for your work. Yeah, sure. And
names, but I can't help but wonder that attorney on the jury, the whole that still just sits sour on my stomach. Just knowing there was an attorney on that jury.
It's unbelievable.
Foreman. They made him foreman.
They made the attorney the foreman.
Yeah.
So they wanted to make sure that the case went the right way.
Yeah.
Somebody did. Yeah.
Well, this thing was from the very beginning, guys. This thing I said it right away. It's a railroad. I mean, and an intimidation, deprivation, all the things that they did to you. I mean, they destroyed your life. All because
destroyed my life, and I aged 20 years. Look at me, I'm 20 years older than when the raid happened, and now it's even worse. When I had to go on the stand after the verdict was rendered, and the judge had to talk to me about the sentencing and everything. My attorney had to hold me up because I couldn't stand on my own.
It's horrible.
I haven't done it, but I've thought about doing a side-by-side photo showing you, really the pictures that we took in Broken Arrow, what you look like then. Well, and it wouldn't be too hard because we got videos, the Truth Rises to the Top videos that you did. It's so shocking to see a few years ago and then look at you now.
Exactly. Again, this started, it was 2012 or 2012, right?
12, yes.
Raid was 2012.
It was 2012.
But here, get this, Howard. Looking and researching as we did, and even from facts that came out in the case, their spy operation against Dr. Carpenter started back when the Arkansas trial was going on, back while Michelle was doing all of her ranting online, back when she was contacting our neighbors, back
Michelle Wolven.
Wolven, yeah, Michelle Wolven. She's still making a name for herself, bombing abortion clinics and going through the dumpsters in the back of abortion clinics and stuff like that. She's crazy. She's there's you can search her name right now on Google, and there's Georgia websites, praising her and her glorious efforts, to save the children, and.
She's a paid agitator. She's not crazy.
she's like an Al Sharpton. She's an operator. She's an operative.
Yeah.
They were spying on her that far back. The trial in Arkansas the civil trial in Arkansas was still going on. FDA had agents already calling her, posing as patients, posing as relatives of patients, anything just to gather info. But that's how far back it went.
And then I'm accused, I think there are 5 or 6 counts of travel fraud. What the heck is that? Travel fraud? I never heard of
Travel
it. Did
fraud.
you?
Well, they just look. What they do is they just pad up your charges. They just pad them up.
Yeah.
And
For
when they want to bury somebody, they bury you in the red tape and then in all the legal fees and costs to defend yourself. Now you're obviously appealing your convictions. How many convictions was it? It was 26?
29 out of 41. Here's the
40 what?
40.
They were 41 originally. Oh, now they're so generous to reduce it to 29. But you know what they are? Emails.
Yeah, here's the thing, Howard. I didn't go to law school. I had a pre-law poli-sci degree, and
Emails.
I took criminal justice 101, and that's an undergrad course, but a basic fact of fraud. I mean, for a crime to exist, you have like necessary conditions. If this exists and this exists and this exists, then if any one of those conditions aren't met, then the crime does not exist and it didn't happen. Well, for fraud to exist, there has to be a condition there has to have been an intent to deceive or mislead. And there was none at any point, at anywhere along this whole thing.
Right, that was the biggest key of the whole thing. Well,
so they
went after Dr. C's credibility when she was she did everything right and she did everything to standard and everybody was happy with her. And then just all of a sudden, this other person, Michelle Wolven, and it was her friend, right? Isn't that like what a coincidence is that, right?
She died of chemo.
She died
because she had chemo. She was worried about how bad her lump looked because she didn't follow directions. She went for a alternative boost of the immune system, which pushed the lump out of the skin. But it was dead, and it was visibly dead. Oh no! This is what's that? This is bad, and the cancer growing. She had an ultrasound, and the person that analyzed the ultrasound had no idea what they were looking at. They actually admitted during the testimony that they never seen anything like that. Didn't look like anything they'd ever seen before. But what did they do? Oh, it's live cancer. Let's give her advanced aggressive chemo, and she died. She died of chemo.
I know chemo kills. I know,
Yeah.
and it's insidious. The whole thing is so insidious because the industry has got everybody brainwashed.
Yeah, and
They
then
really
Randy
do.
has something. And then Randy has something to tell you that we discovered during the trial. That has something to tell you about the industry involvement. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Randy.
Well, okay. You mean the big news?
Yeah.
The big bomb is what I want to call it.
The insect.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we've thrown names around. We've done a lot of shows together.